Title: The Adventures of Emily and Max. Chapter 1, The New House. Emily had always lived in the city. The tall buildings, bustling streets, and constant noise were all she knew. But that all changed when her family moved to a small town. Her parents had decided they needed a quieter life, and they found a beautiful old house on the outskirts of town. Emily wasn't sure about this change. She missed her friends and the lively atmosphere of the city. The new house was large, with creaky wooden floors and a big backyard. There was a forest nearby, which her parents thought would be perfect for her to explore. Emily wasn't convinced. On their first night in the new house, she had trouble sleeping. The silence was unnerving, and the unfamiliar sounds of the countryside kept her awake. Chapter 2, Meeting Max. The next morning, Emily decided to explore the backyard. It was overgrown and wild, unlike the neat parks she was used to. As she wandered around, she heard a rustling noise in the bushes. Curious, she approached cautiously. Suddenly, a small dog burst out, wagging its tail furiously. It was a scruffy little thing, with big brown eyes and a friendly demeanor. "Hello there," Emily said, kneeling down to pet the dog. It licked her hand and barked happily. "I guess you live around here, huh?" She looked around to see if anyone was coming to claim the dog, but no one was in sight. The dog had a collar, but no tags. Emily decided to call him Max. Max followed her around the yard as she explored, and by the end of the day, he had become her new companion. Chapter 3, The Forest Adventure. As the days passed, Emily and Max became inseparable. They played in the backyard and took long walks around the neighborhood. One day, Emily decided it was time to explore the forest. She packed a small backpack with some snacks, a bottle of water, and a notebook. "Come on, Max," she called, and the little dog came running. The forest was dense and full of life. Birds chirped in the trees, and the ground was covered with leaves and twigs. Emily followed a narrow path, enjoying the fresh air and the sense of adventure. Max ran ahead, sniffing everything and wagging his tail. After walking for a while, Emily came across a small clearing. In the middle of the clearing was an old, abandoned cabin. It looked like no one had been there for years. Emily approached cautiously, her heart pounding with excitement. She peeked through the windows, but it was too dark to see anything inside. "Let us take a look, Max," she said, pushing the door open. It creaked loudly, and dust filled the air. Inside, the cabin was dusty and filled with cobwebs. There were old furniture and some shelves with books. Emily's curiosity got the better of her, and she started exploring. She found an old journal on one of the shelves and blew the dust off the cover. It was full of handwritten notes and sketches of plants and animals. "This is amazing," she whispered. "It looks like someone used to study the forest." She spent the rest of the afternoon reading through the journal. It belonged to a man named Henry, who had lived in the cabin many years ago. He was a naturalist who had dedicated his life to studying the forest and its inhabitants. Emily was fascinated by his notes and sketches. She decided she wanted to continue his work. Chapter 4, Discoveries and Friends. Over the next few weeks, Emily and Max visited the cabin often. Emily brought her own notebook and started making her own observations and sketches. She learned about different plants and animals, and even discovered a few things Henry hadn't mentioned in his journal. One day, while exploring a different part of the forest, Emily heard voices. She followed the sound and found a group of kids around her age. They were gathered around a small stream, skipping stones and laughing. Emily hesitated for a moment, but Max ran ahead to greet them. "Hi," one of the kids said, noticing Emily. "I'm Jake. Is this your dog?" "Yes, his name is Max." "I'm Emily. We just moved here." "Nice to meet you, Emily," Jake said with a smile. "Do you want to join us?" Emily felt a wave of relief. She had been feeling a bit lonely since moving to the new town, and making new friends was exactly what she needed. She spent the rest of the day with Jake and his friends, playing by the stream and sharing stories. Chapter 5: A New Beginning. As the summer went on, Emily found herself falling in love with her new home. She had made new friends, discovered the beauty of the forest, and found a passion for nature that she never knew she had. She continued to visit the cabin and work on her own journal, inspired by Henry's work. Max was always by her side, her loyal companion on every adventure. Emily realized that moving to the small town was the best thing that had happened to her. She no longer missed the city, she had found her place in the world. One evening, as she sat on the porch of her new home, watching the sunset, Emily felt a sense of peace and contentment. She knew that there were many more adventures to come, and she was ready for all of them.